Hi everyone, my name is Selena and I am your holistic guide and GAPS guru. I love to talk about all things GAPS related, as well as healthy living, non-toxic living, and just kind of opening my life to show you guys what are some of the things that I've done to heal myself of different chronic symptoms, and I love to help people to take control of their health. Today I'm going to be talking about a maybe a little controversial topic, especially in the conventional medicine world, but also in the functional medicine world, and that is parasites. Parasites are something that have been a big part of my story, and I will go into that in another video, but today I'm going to be talking about what parasites are, why they're there, and the fact that everybody has parasites. Now, that might be kind of a controversial thing, but I'm going to explain what I mean by that. And I'm going to go through 3 ways that I believe people can heal naturally from parasites and their effects. Because a lot of the times when these pathogenic bacteria and parasites are out of proportion in our bodies, they can create some really nagging symptoms on our health and trigger our immune system into all sorts of problems. So let's get into it. So everybody loves talking about probiotics. I know there are people who talk about probiotics for their dogs. I actually bought this probiotic house cleaner, and there is such a hype right now about probiotics. But because there's such a hype about probiotics, inevitably there has to be a reason for that, and part of the reason for that is that people kind of must inherently know that there isn't just beneficial bacteria in your gut, that there's also pathogenic bacteria in your gut. And Dr. Natasha calls this bacteria opportunistic flora. It's the kind of bacteria that isn't the best if it becomes out of balance, but it's naturally occurring in everybody's gut. Now, the reality is there's not one bad or good kind of thing. I don't like to put labels to these things because I don't look at them like they're in war with each other or whatever. But the reality is a lot of these parasites can be causing tons of different kinds of debilitating conditions, symptoms, and they were, for me personally, a part of the root cause of a lot of my chronic symptoms. There are a lot of protocols out there that work to kill parasites and remove them from the body. And the reality is, though, I believe that if they're not coming out naturally, that it's probably because your body is still needing them to a degree, which is kind of a controversial statement. By needing them, I'm talking about the fact that everything in your body, first of all, our body is an ecosystem, and that your body actually has these organisms that all have a unique purpose. So even though certain things might be overgrown, certain yeasts may be overgrown, certain bacteria might be overgrown that are not helping you, the reality is that they're there for a purpose. And helping you to understand the purpose that they're there is actually going to help you to treat them well and to not use protocols that end up hurting your body more. This is not medical advice. I'm not a practitioner or anything, but I've done a ton of research in this area, especially in the GAPS world when it comes to healing your body of parasites and helping to restore a healthy gut microbiome. And these are some of the things that I found to be helpful. So I would say step 1 is admitting that parasites are there, admitting that you have them, admitting that parasites are a part of your ecosystem, because if you don't admit that they're there, most people don't like to think about what's going on the inside of themselves, but if you don't admit they're there, then you can't actually take the opportunity to heal your body properly. What we don't think exists is going to end up hurting us more because we don't believe it's there. Now, everyone has parasites, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to leave some links below to some articles and videos, if you want to go graphic, on all the information and why I believe this. And I'm not going to go all into the science right now because I'm not a doctor and I don't want to butcher anything. But from the research I found, it's very commonly known that everybody has parasites, and it's not a bad thing. So these tapeworms and hookworms are actually a part of our natural ecosystem. And if you can kind of wrap your head around that, it'll help you to really understand why maybe they're overgrown and how to regain balance into the ecosystem of your gut. But what I'm attempting to say, first of all, is that essentially they're there because of being naturally occurring, but they also feed on certain things. And so Dr. Becky Plattner wrote a whole article about this, and I will link it below, but it's the idea that parasites actually feed off of the sugar, the gluten, the processed foods. They feed off of starches, and part of the GAPS protocol is actually designed to starve out these pathogenic flora so that we can regain balance into the ecosystem of your gut. Now, not only do they feed off of sugar and gluten and things like that, but they also feed off of metals and toxins and contaminants. Now, this is where you kind of get into this understanding of function. So if parasites feed off of the things that often do you a lot of harm, like toxins and contaminants and all this excess sugar, then actually part of their function is to support your body so that those things don't go to your tissues or your organs, your brain, and all these other parts of your body to wreak havoc. The reality is that these microorganisms are actually there to help you. And part of how they found this out was they did this disgusting thing where they blended up parasites that they found in a human, and they actually found that the metal content in that parasites when they tested it was way higher than when they tested the person for parasites or for metals. Knowing that, which is crazy, they were basically concluded that these, bad bacteria were actually feeding on the things that wreak a lot of havoc, have been known to cause Alzheimer's and cancers and all sorts of things. They actually were holding them in your gut by eating them, which is disgusting. But that also means that it's helping you to a degree. And so when you understand that you have a parasite issue, you also have to understand that the real issue is that you have a toxin issue, or your diet is out of balance with what it needs to be, and you are way overfeeding these microorganisms. So they're there for a reason. Everybody has them because anybody's had a bite of sugar. You've fed them to some degree. Feeding them helps them to get bigger. As they get bigger, that's when they start to cause these problems. But innately, in and of themselves, they're not bad things. And so it's important to note that. This is actually your body's beautiful strategy of protecting you and protecting the organs that are most important to your day-to-day function. And if those aren't protected, you end up with way more problems. And so I'm always baffled when I come into the GAPS world and I see another thing that tells me actually my body is doing the best that it knows how, and it's a genius in its design. So now I'm going to go into step 2. Now that you've admitted that you have parasites and you kind of understand the function, now it's time to make your gut an inhospitable place for parasites. The primary strategy that I believe in doing this is to go on the GAPS nutritional protocol. We do not do kill protocols on the GAPS protocol. We do not drive candida out. We do not use tons of kill herbs or pharmaceuticals. We do not do those as a method of healing your body. The GAPS protocol is best done by basically cutting out the food sources. So we cut out gluten, we cut out sugar to these pathogenic bacteria, we cut out starches for a time. We replace them with the foods that are nourishing, that can heal and seal the gut lining. Basically create this environment where parasites don't prosper anymore because they don't have a food source. If you don't feed something, it can't grow and cause all this havoc. So the idea is to stop feeding the problem, not to kill the problem. Those are important distinctions. Now, this isn't forever. Like, you're never gonna have a potato again, I believe, but it's just until your body can learn to self-regulate, where your gut bacteria comes back into this place of balance and the pathogenic bacteria aren't wreaking havoc on your immune system and your digestive system anymore. Now, I will say in this step, it's really, really important to go slow. So when you're starting to feed your gut these beneficial things, you're gonna experience the results of that, which are what's called die-off. And die-off is basically when these pathogens or parasites are dying off because their food source is being cut off. Beneficial bacteria are being flooded in to take their place, and they don't have the strength anymore to wreak the kind of havoc they were wreaking on your body. What you can experience, some people call it a Herxing reaction or a detox reaction, but sometimes what can happen is if you are feeding the beneficial bacteria and you're starving these pathogenic bacteria, these parasites basically start to die off, and in the process, it's going to be gross, but they are essentially coughing up what they've been holding, so these metals, these toxins and contaminants, and they're exiting the body. And that's when things like passing parasites comes into play. I won't get into that right now, maybe in another video. But that's when passing parasites comes into play. That's when your body starts to feel maybe kind of icky for a day or two after having a bunch of kefir and cutting out sugar. Your body might feel like a little bit worse, but it's actually your body's way of getting these toxins out and restoring your gut to a healthy way. And so sometimes those toxic gases that these parasites are coughing up, sometimes they actually can cause symptoms like bloating or gas or constipation and things like that, because those toxic gases have effects on our bodies. But that's when step number 3 comes in, where it becomes really, really important for you to support your detox pathways. And what I mean by that is understanding that your body is a complex environment, organism, and in that you need to not only be feeding it the good things, not feeding it the bad things, but you also want to provide a way for those toxins and contaminants that you've had throughout your whole life to easily come out. A lot of times our liver can end up really overburdened because our liver is one of our main detox organs. And when it becomes so overburdened like that, the toxic flow doesn't flow in and out of our body. Sometimes it can get clogged up, and that's where different kinds of detox support become really, really important. Now, in this step, I will put the caveat that I really do recommend doing this with the help of a practitioner, because they're going to help you with all kinds of the more complex things, the detox reactions that you might experience. They're going to know the pace that's right for you. But there are a lot of things that you can do at home by yourself, things I've started by myself without the help of a practitioner, that can really, really help support your body's detox pathways, which is ultimately going to really help the problem of parasites being overloaded in your system. So some of the more lighter ways of detox include dry brushing, oil pulling, taking lukewarm detox baths with a little bit of Epsom salt in them, maybe doing water enemas. Water enemas are a really good way to help to flush out remaining toxins in your gut and keep things flowing so that you aren't experiencing toxic reabsorption. And then if you are feeling like your body can handle it and you are maybe working with a practitioner and you've decided this is the best way to go, you can move on to more advanced forms of detox support that maybe come in the form of coffee enemas, or I could go into a whole video on coffee enemas, but coffee enemas help to really detox your liver, and it helps to pass heavy metals and all those things that are food sources for these parasites. It actually helps them to be released and get out of your body. Also, maybe hot baths with more particulate in it would be a really good way to up that detox support, as well as upping your meat stock levels and upping your fermented brines at the pace that your body can really handle it. Another thing might be saunas, and then another thing might be kind of working with your practitioner to find a good heavy metal chelation protocol to work on. These are all things that I've tried, and they're things that I'm doing, and things that have had a really big effect on helping me to naturally pass parasites and restore the ecosystem in my gut. A lot of the symptoms of parasites, you could look on Google, there's going to be so many different symptoms, but some of the symptoms I felt the most when I would pass parasites and when my gut started becoming healthier, I noticed so much more energy. I noticed way less brain fog. I noticed way less irritability. I will say that all the things that I've mentioned right here are things that work for the entirety of the GAPS protocol, not just parasites, but these are 3 steps that I would really recommend for anybody who's maybe just been exposed to the idea that there might be parasites and causing problems in their body. Those would be the 3 biggest avenues of change that I would go on. There are a lot of fancy schmancy protocols out there that just end up causing more problems, because what happens is that if you get rid of a parasite before it's actually ready, your body's ready to handle it. Your body has to be strong enough to be able to process the toxins that it's going to release. It has to be strong enough. The gut lining has to be strong enough to be able to handle what's going to be released. If you just go on killing all the parasites, and like we said, they have the function of keeping toxins contained when they need to be contained, then you're killing off this thing that's actually really helping you. And those things that were actually problems, like the toxins and contaminants, they're being released all throughout your body, and they're really being released to cause havoc. And I wouldn't want that for you. I know so many people who have done kill protocols and they end up in the hospital, or they go too hard in a sauna, or they go too hard on detox, and their body just wasn't ready for it. So this is all in the context of going really slow, taking really all the time that you need, taking all the space you need to be able to let your body rest and heal. This is all happening in that context, and it's really important that you understand that this idea of killing, it actually doesn't work with parasites. Since everybody has them, I think it's something that we just need to accept. It's something that a lot of different ancient cultures just kind of accepted, and I think the more we can kind of accept that this is a thing, these chronic diseases, these chronic illnesses are going to seem a lot less big and scary and untreatable and chronic, and there's no answers for them. A lot of the times when you go really down to the root cause, there's ways to heal and recover from a lot of those things. And so I'm here to bring you hope in that area, because I've experienced a lot of that healing myself. I know that when you get down to the root cause of things, your body really is capable of a lot. If you're not convinced, I'm going to link a bunch of articles below on why I believe that everybody has parasites. There's a colonoscopy video in there if you want to just like look on like the average person. I will give a story at some point about how I was treated for parasites at one point with antibiotics and how it went horribly wrong. But as always, be gentle to yourself, go slow, take your time, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I make a new video just like this one every single week, and it's my passion to walk alongside people as they heal and grow. It inspires me and hopefully brings encouragement to you. So I'll see you in my next video.